Good morning, children. Sit up. All right. We are continuing with the topic of Mughal Empire. Last time I gave you a question. Okay, who are the Navratnas of Akbar's court? Sanskriti, you will only tell me one. Mullah Dupraza. Okay, what was he known for? Do you know? Okay, sit down. Yes, Utkarsh?
Mullah Dupraza is sometimes said as a fictional character, and in those fictional tales also he is said to be an advisor and what do we call it? And
one of a main counselor of the court. Right. Okay. Second. Honey, tell me one.
Birbal.
Okay, who was Birbal?
And he was known for his great wit and wisdom. He was also a good friend of Akbar.
He was a good friend and he is known for his wisdom and humor. Right. Divyanshi. Third. Tansen. What was Tansen known for? Siddharth, can you tell me Tansen was known for?
And he used to sing.
He was a very famous musician. He was not only singer, he has composed so many rag. Alright. Anjane, fourth.
Fakir Ziauddin, he was a Sufi mystic and an advisor.
Okay. Next. Aruna, want to tell me? Yes. Kalidas. Was he one of the 9 gems? Yes, Anjane.
Abul Fazl, he was a chronicler of Panorama. This book mentioned the life of Emperor Akbar.
So Kalidas was not one of the 9 gems or no. Okay. Next we can talk about Abul Fazl. His writings, his record, his historical work is a big source of information for us about that period. Next. Honey.
Raja Mansingh.
Raja Mansingh, what was he famous for?
He was the Kachri Rajput Raja of Jaipur and was Akbar's trusted general and commander-in-chief.
Yes, he was the military commander-in-chief for Akbar. Sana?
Raja Todarmal.
Raja Todarmal. What did he do?
He managed all the administration.
Administration, especially finances. Okay? He was the economic advisor. Yes.
Abdul Rahim Khani Khana, he was the son of Akbar's trusted general and tutor Bairam Khan, best known for his Hindi couplets.
Yes. Abdul Rahim Khana, you might have read about him in the Hindi. He is famous for Hindi dohas, the couplets. Alright. Any more left? Yes, Sanskriti? And what was he famous for? No idea? Sit down. Can you guess? Hakimji will be famous for? Medical science. Hakim. Hakim is another name for old doctors. Okay? Not the modern allopathic doctors. Alright. Fine. So, at least we all have done your homework. Okay. Let's see what we have next. Now see, we have talked in very brief about Babur and Humayun. The main periods under consideration are Akbar and Aurangzeb, because these two are supposed to be the two rulers who took it to maximum limits. The Mughal Empire expanded to the maximum under their head. Especially Akbar's reign is famous for the stable period. Growth of literature, growth of art and architecture, culture, everything. So you can see here that Akbar's period is grey period. Okay, that was the Akbar's reign, and at the time of Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb, they had been able to expand under the areas of Marathas also. So almost entire India, north, central, western and part of southern India also was under Mughal Empire. After Aurangzeb, the Mughal Empire saw a steady decline. There was, like, if you even try to remember, you won't find any name except the last Mughal king. Now, since we were discussing about Mansabdari system, Anybody remembers what is Mansabdari system? Last time I gave you an example and I told you that it can be compared and not so comparable to ICTA. Who will tell? Acha, tell me what was ICTA system? Yes, Aryan? No idea? Okay, Utkarsh.
ICTA was a land given to Army General to control or something.
To administer over that area. What was what were they called?
Adi.
Yes?
ICTA.
Huh? Iqtidars or muktis. Correct. Now I want you to tell me that, can you guess, since I am comparing the Mansabdari system, which you are not remembering, to ICTA system, what might be Mansabdari system? Yes. Correct. A way of controlling, that is administering. You remember, I told you last time, comparing it with our school, how the duties are distributed. So now, because you saw that how huge was the Mughal Empire, so it was definitely very difficult to control it from the center. Where is the center? Delhi, right? So now what they did, they started the system of Mansabdari. We see majorly two systems: the Zamindari system, which continued till after the Mughal Empire, and Mansabdari system, which is basically related to Mughals. It was a system to generate land revenue. All right, Zoya, can you tell me why did they need all that land revenue?
For taxes or
Land revenue is taxes, but why did they need so many taxes?
to help these people and build temples and build architecture.
Okay, sit down. Yes. To manage what?
And the army.
The army. Okay, one reason. They needed funds to maintain huge army. Any other point? Yes, Anjane.
To maintain law and order.
To maintain law and order. Again, they needed force to maintain law and order. And all these police forces, we can compare them to current police forces. Will they be given some salary or they will work for free? If anybody is working, they need some funds, right? And so they started the system of generating the organized land revenue was always collected. You remember how land revenue was collected in the Chola Empire? Yes?
There were more than 400 taxes in the Chola Empire. Some were like Vetti and Kadamai, which was taken. Vetti was the land revenue and Kadamai was the tax taken in the form of forced labor.
Correct. Taxes have always been there, beta. Ever since the civilization began, ever since the ruling came into being, taxes have always been there. But since the area under control was this time very huge, they reorganized the system of land revenue. They appointed heads for different districts, right? And they were called Mansabdars. Like Muktis or Iqtidar, now we have a post called Mansabdar, who were responsible for collection of Ayushman. What did the Mansabdar collected? They collected soldiers. Sit down. No laughing. Nitish, come on, tell me, what did Mansabdar collect? Taxes. Land revenue. Right? They collected land revenue of the Mansabs that were under them. You need to remember, tell me, if you remember, the Iqtidari system was hereditary or non-hereditary? And Mansabs?
Hereditary.
In the beginning, non-hereditary, it basically depended on the quality of the person who was the Mansabdar. Later on, it became revocable and non-hereditary, basically because suppose I am the Mansabdar and I am ruling, like I am given in charge of this entire class, I am managing very well. But suppose when I am gone and my child becomes the Mansabdar and he is not such a good administrator, will the boss, the king at center, want to continue? No, he will remove X, Y, Z and he will appoint a new Mansabdar who will be able to collect the good revenue, right? Okay, so emperor used to grant the revenue, right? It was all done in writing that XYZ, a person has been appointed as Mansabdar of this Mansab. Mansab is like a district. Alright, so they divided the lands into Mansabs and Mansabdar was appointed. And they had to collect the land revenue from there. And for this, will the Mansabdar go to hundreds of kilometers all over? One person. Who will work for Mansabdar? Soldiers. So he was also supposed to maintain a small army for not only collection of land revenue but also at the time of requirement like war with any other province or state, they used to provide the soldiers to the king, the Mughal emperor. Okay, under Mughal Empire, the Indian economy boomed. Boom means it improved and it prospered like anything. They also made the system of uniform currency and good roads. Okay. Can you tell me, though it's not related directly to Mughal Empire, but can you tell me who got the Grand Trunk Road constructed? Very famous ruler. Yes. Sher Shah Suri. You remember? Humayun was ousted by Sher Shah Suri. And later,
He was what?
ousted, he was removed from the power temporarily. Right?
Why?
Okay, because he was defeated. So uniform road system means they realize the importance of good roads. And so they constructed good roads. GT road, which we still use, was started at that time. Of course, the form has changed. Then a uniform currency, and that also led to one currency throughout entire Mughal Empire. That is almost most of India. All right. What was one shortcoming of Muhammad bin Tughlaq? Regarding currency, I am asking you, I am giving you the clue. We have studied lot of weaknesses of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, but I am asking only one shortcoming regarding currency.
During the war, he used to pay the soldiers with cheap currencies.
What was that called? Sit down. Yes.
Token currency.
Token currency, that is symbolic currency, and it could easily be copied, it could easily be faked. So administration was very difficult. He was failing economically in his days. So counter that kind of mishap, Mughals employed one single currency in entire area under his control. Most of the part was military and political center. And as such, we can say that commerce was, or trade was not very much booming, but overall economy was prospering. Fine. You have understood the Mansabdari system. A Mansabdar is the head of Mansabdari system, right? The district under his administration is called a Mansab, and he has a small army, a collection of soldiers under him. They were also different for different Mansabdars. You need to remember that it was different for different Mansabdars. Okay. Just a quick revision of Mansabdari system. Okay. Every official in the Mughal Empire, high or low, under Mansabdari system was called a Mansabdar. That means suppose Mansab of size of Lucknow only is under a Mansabdar, and a Mansab of size of Uttar Pradesh is under another Mansabdar. Both will be called Mansabdar and both will be given good respect. Then yes, their salaries will differ, their importance to the king will differ, their power, the number of soldiers under them would be different. Okay, they got 2 ranks. This you need to understand very carefully. Every Mansabdar had 2 ranks, right? They joined the Mughal Imperial Service. What can Mughal Imperial Service be compared to? Any clue? The Mughal imperial service of those days can be compared to something of the present. IS or PCS. We have the system of administration at the central level and the state level, right? They can be compared to original Mansabdar system. Fine? Okay. So there was a system of ZAT, Z-A-T, that is the personal salary. So a Mansabdar who has been appointed over Mansab would have a personal salary for him, and then a Sawar. Does this word give you some clue? Sawar. A very famous word in Hindi. If we add just two words. Sawari. And if I ask you to prefix something, add two words, two letters of Hindi before this.
Before.
Prefix is before only. Gursawar. What is Gursawar? Or who is a Gursawar? A horse rider. So the second rank was a payment for the military contingent, that is the army that the Mansabdar had. That was as per the number of Sawars or the mounted soldiers. You know, the English word for Sawar is mounted soldier. That is horseman. Fine. So he was given two kind of ranks. One of his individual capacity, that is Zat, the personal salary, and then the salary or the payment for the military contingent. For example, Mansab of Prince Salim. You all know about Shahzada Salim, right? So Shahzada Salim, who was later known as Jahangir, he got the Mansab of 5,000 Zat, the currency in those days, and 5,000 Sawar. That means he had a small army of 5,000 mounted soldiers. Did you understand? Okay. Now, let's compare it to the Zamindari system. Who is a Zamindar? Common sense, you all have heard, you all have read. The landlord. That is lord of a given land. Okay, the local level, this was for local level. We were talking of Mansabdar at the district or the Mansab level. But in the distant villages, right, there was the system of Zamindari system where the local landlord would be the head, and they were called as Zamindars. They had the hereditary system. Mansabdari was a non-hereditary system, whereas Zamindari was a hereditary system. So they got the right to collect revenue from the masses, from the villages, generation-wise. Can we have a comparison for Mansabdari system and Zamindari system to present time? Can you compare it to something? And then there is king. Right? Can we compare it?
Are they both work under the king?
Central government of current time is equal to king at the center. The state governments can be covered to Mansabdari system or Mansabs, what we call today as states, were the Mansabs of those times. Clear? And the local government or the Panchayati Raj was earlier as Zamindari system. But Zamindari system is over and it has been replaced by Panchayati Raj. Your homework, write down. All right, the question is, discuss shortcomings of zamindari system which have been removed by current local governments or Panchayati Raj. So it's a comparative study, right? You have to compare the Panchayati Raj with zamindari system and find out the shortcomings of zamindari system. Please note, you cannot confuse with mansabdari system. Okay? Mansabdari system is not involved here. Okay? That's all. Have a nice day. Thank you.